This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Tuesday. I don't have the phone lines open. I don't have Discord open because I'm a shitty host. Now we're ready to take phone calls. 917-830-4359. If you'd like to call in, tell me I'm stupid. People have been trying to troll me in the comments here lately. I would recommend, if you really want to get under my skin, call in and make an intelligent argument that makes me look stupid. I will get incredibly frustrated over that. But that's yet to happen. Discord is live now, even though it's still saying that we're not on. If phones aren't for you, there we go. If phones aren't for you, you can hop into the Discord in the Debate Freakin voice tab. Got a fantastic show for you tonight. News coming out of the Supreme Court about the Trump challenge to the election. Texas is suing in an attempt to try to get heard by the Supreme Court. Michelle Bachmann says her vote was stolen by Satan. Hell, Satan. Are you ready to die for Trump? Because apparently there are people out there who are. We're going to talk about, of course, COVID restrictions and the latest updates in the possible COVID relief bill making its way through Congress. Looks like progress is being made, but it isn't really anything that's going to benefit you or I. The woman who was in charge of the COVID dashboard in Florida has her home raided, and we actually have the video from inside her house of the raid. Plus, we're going to be talking about the latest police shooting that is making national news. No video of that because, unfortunately, the cops were not wearing body cameras. A mall Santa made a kid cry over a Nerf gun. And this is the 40th anniversary of John Lennon's death. I have my John Lennon shirt on tonight. It's a little small on me. I got this like 10 years ago, and I've put on a hell of a lot of weight since then. But I wanted to wear it in honor. We're actually going to play the news report from 40 years ago announcing John Lennon's death. Plus, we got so much more on the docket. We're going to start off tonight not with Chad Prather. I've been trying to get that motherfucker to have a little bit of a war with me. We're going to start off tonight with Sidney Powell giving statements on Greg Kelly reports, whatever the fuck that is. I've never heard of it. But I'm sure he's also like, I've never heard of Justin FREAKIN either. You got a really nice Christmas tree, Sidney Powell. Let's see what you have to say.
Supreme Court, tomorrow for you?
This was last night.
I'm sorry I missed that.
Will you be in the Supreme Court tomorrow? You said emergency relief. Does that entail you going there? How's that going to actually work?
That's going to work as fast as we can humanly make it work. It may not be tomorrow, but we also have a case out of Michigan that needs to go, a case out of Arizona that may very well wind up there. There should be at least...
Whoa, hitting the dramatic bumper music.
With enough electoral votes to change the outcome before the end of the week.
Sidney
At least 3 cases with enough electoral votes to change the outcome of the election by the end of the week. Now, as you guys may have heard, the Supreme Court denied a Republican challenge to certify the votes in Pennsylvania today. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday rejected a last-ditch effort to undo President-elect Joe Biden's win in Pennsylvania in a one-line order 9-0 vote. Not even Kavanaugh. Not Amy COVID Barrett. And definitely not Gorsuch, who has been a better judge than I could have imagined. None of them voted in favor of this challenge. So what they were arguing was that mail-in balloting was unconstitutional. Supreme Court like, nuh-uh, we're not even going to hear the case. But do you think that's stopping Republicans? Texas Attorney General today, Ken Paxton, who has been indicted on fraud charges. I will never not take the opportunity to bring that up. And I wish more news outlets, when reporting this story, would say that. He is awaiting trial on fraud charges currently. The Attorney General of Texas awaiting trial on fraud charges. I don't even know how that's possible. How do you not get disbarred? How do you not get removed from your office of being the head attorney for the state of Texas when you're awaiting trial for fraud? Texas sues the states Biden won in the Supreme Court, seeking to delay the Electoral College vote. Now, if I had to guess, I would assume the court will not take the case, because it's just stupid, based on the grounds that Texas has no standing. Apparently, they want to secede. Let them. But how? In order to sue in court, you have to have standing. You would have to be in one of the states and be a voter in that state and show that you were harmed and that you would need a legal remedy for that harm. This is just another bullshit Hail Mary attempt. Texas argued that electors from Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin should not be allowed to cast their vote, in part because those states unconstitutionally changed their voting procedures during the coronavirus pandemic to allow for increased mail-in ballots. But we just saw today that the legal challenge in Pennsylvania, citing that mail-in ballots were unconstitutional. That case was not taken up by the Supreme Court. But of course, nothing stops these dumbass Republicans because they are shameless. GOP leaders today blocked a measure affirming Biden as president-elect. The symbolic resolution was rebuffed on a party line vote by the congressional committee planning the inauguration. So this was in committee, so it's probably like a 5-5 vote. Senior Republicans on Tuesday refused to acknowledge the transition of power to Joe Biden, even as they met to plan his inauguration next month. The top GOP leaders in the Senate and House rejected a symbolic resolution during a meeting of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugurational Ceremonies. I know, I've seen so many posting about the legal challenges. I love saying 49-1, 49 losses. I think it's up to 50. 49 as of yesterday. It's up to 50. Trump has lost 50 times in court. The Democratic measure sought to notify the American people that Congress is preparing for the inauguration of Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, in coordination with health experts. Because this is going to be a parsed-down inauguration. It's like the record for the Raiders. I'm not a sports fan, so I wouldn't know. They switched cities, didn't they? They used to be the Oakland Raiders. They're somewhere else now, right? It's the latest sign that Hill Republicans won't challenge President Trump's scorched earth battle to overturn the result of a free and fair election. All the Republicans oppose the measure. Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Roy Blunt. Okay, so it was a 3-3 vote. I said it was probably a 5-5 vote. But it looks like it was just the leaders that participated in the vote. Not only that, but they are blocking the transition team from meeting with the coronavirus task force. And this was Trump asked about it earlier today.
Over here, go ahead.
The next administration will be the one ultimately that implements a lot of the distribution of this vaccine and will oversee much of the future of the way Operation Warp Speed goes forward. Why not include members of the Biden transition team as part of this summit that you're hosting today?
Well, we're going to have to see who the next administration is.
It's Biden.
We won in those
No, you didn't.
states, and there was terrible things that went on. So we're going to have to.
Terrible things did not go on. Your legal team is not even alleging that terrible things went on. You lost by 7 million votes. 7 million and counting still, I do believe. I don't know. They might be about wrapped up with the counting.
To see who the next administration is, but whichever the next administration is will really benefit by what we've been
It's
able
going to be
do with
Biden.
this incredible science, the doctors, all of the people that came up, the lab technicians, the work that's been done is incredible, and it will be incredible for the next administration, and hopefully the next administration will be the Trump administration, because
It won't.
steal hundreds of thousands of votes. You can't have fraud and deception and all of the things that they did.
So here he is,
Slightly
supposed to be
winner
giving a
swing
speech
state.
on coronavirus.
Look at the numbers, look at what's been on tape, look at all the corruption, and we'll see. You can't win an election like that. So hopefully the next administration will be the Trump administration, a continuation, which has led us to the highest stock markets we've ever had, the best employment numbers we've ever had, a rebuilt military. If you look at the tax reductions are the greatest in history. The regulation reductions, the greatest in history. It leads us to Space Force, which nobody thought was possible. All of the things we've done, and we were rewarded with a victory. Now let's see whether or not somebody has the courage, whether it's a legislator or legislatures, or whether it's a justice of the Supreme Court or a number of justices of the Supreme Court. Let's see if they have the courage to do what
Ain't happening, pal.
the country knows is right. I received almost 75 million votes, the highest number of votes in the history of our country for a sitting president. 12 million more than the 63 million we received 4 years ago. President Obama received 3 million less in his second term, and he won easily. I received 12 million more, which, by the way, is a record. 12 million more.
You were that hated that people turned out to vote against your stupid ass. And you'll see why here in just a second. Exactly, more people voted this time. You'll see why just in a second here. I wonder why people might hate you when you're pulling shit like this. This was a Presidential Medal of Freedom ceremony earlier today.
Thank you very much. Anything on Bill Barr, sir?
He just walks out. Nobody knows what to do now because the president just walked out of the ceremony. Because he's just given up on even being president. That's what we all did when he got elected, dude. We just...
President, one more question about the inauguration. Thank you.
So let's scroll back through the story here and find out who this guy even is so we can give him the acknowledgement that Trump didn't do. Dan Gable, Medal of Freedom recipient, a former Olympian. I hate that this story isn't really about Gable. One of 11 sports figures Trump has given the medal to out of his 19 recipients. The president bailed on the ceremony a bit early, leaving Gable alone and more than a little confused. Now, this was yesterday. I hadn't seen that. Axios reported that Trump is considering mass pardons as he sulks his way out of office. And this, man, I had a right-winger today talking about the legal challenges after the Texas filing. They were like, liberals are in for a crying fit soon. I'm watching a right-wing crying fit every fucking day on social media. And here's a good example of it. Michelle Bachmann. Back in the news today. I don't even know what the fuck this is. Where she was at. Another fantastic clip from Right Wing Watch.
From the political point of view, from the legal point of view, from the moral point of view,
Trump lost.
America is not on board with Joe Biden as the next president of the United States.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And the reason why we're not there is because we're not that dumb in the United States. Because we know without a shadow of a doubt, this man did.
I wonder if they know that. Surely they're getting legal advice inside the White House, or maybe people just aren't telling them. Yeah, go ahead, pardon everybody. Give up your Fifth Amendment rights. So then Congress can call you to testify. The Southern District of New York can get that testimony from you.
The reason why we're not there is because we're not that dumb in the United States. Because.
Are you shitting me?
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yes, I do. Especially you, Michelle Bachmann.
We know without a shadow of a doubt, this man did not get the votes on election night. It didn't happen. Donald Trump got the votes on election night. So why would we be like...
Now, I wonder, is she hopping on the bandwagon in a attempt to make herself relevant again? Because apparently she is. We've all been playing clips of Michelle Bachmann again. Is she going to make a run for Congress in 2022? Because surely she knows there's no place for her in a Trump administration. That isn't going to happen. I don't think she's a dumb woman. So surely she knows she's not angling for a spot in the second Trump administration.
Drones, chumps, and fools to go along with this. When the clock was striking 11:59 and 59 seconds on the 400th anniversary,
Is this some kind of
gift of God to the world,
astrology
this
shit?
idea of voting for the people and the laws that you live under that we take for granted, that's exactly when Satan was snatching away from America rule by the consent of the governed. In other words, stealing from us our right to vote.
Hell, Satan!
I'm highly offended, insulted, angry, and I'm not going to stand for the fact that my vote was stolen.
She is literally standing right now. She was sitting in the other clip. What the hell? Also, what's on her foot? The right-wingers have talked a lot about the whole Biden having a boot on his foot from playing with his dog, about how he has an ankle monitor, that he's actually been under arrest. And there's an ankle monitor under that boot. Why are there no right-wing conspiracies about fucking Michelle Bachmann's foot here? But hey, Bachmann's not the only crazy person in the Republican Party. The Arizona GOP retweeted, oh, fuck you. The Arizona GOP asked if Republicans are ready to die for Trump's bullshit. Does it actually have the tweet here? Oh, man. See if we can pull it up. We'll go to Twitter here. Wait, why didn't the Twitter site didn't just pull up for me? There we go. I misspelled it or something. I can't log in. You guys won't let me on Twitter. This is a House GOP. It's not the state GOP. I don't think we'll find it. Shit. I was ill prepared for this. All right. They retweeted a guy that said he was ready to die for President Trump. The Arizona GOP retweeted it and said, he is, are you? He's an organizer of the pro-Trump Stop the Steal rallies and said, I'm willing to give my life for this fight. Oh, maybe they did follow up with the quote from Rambo. That's what we were just looking at. Absolutely insane. Now, Larry Hogan, the Maryland Republican governor, who I assume has his eyes on 2024 and the Republican primary, released this.
I have a rendezvous with destiny. In 1980, just 4 years after the predicted demise of the GOP, Reagan led our party to one of the largest landslides in American history, and then went on to truly make America great again. As Reagan said, we are once again at a time for choosing. Are we going to be a party that can't win national elections, or are we willing to do the hard work of building a durable coalition that can shape our nation's destiny? Look, I'm a guy who tells it like it is. So here's a truth that our party needs to hear. No one will listen to our message if they don't believe that we're listening to them. Sadly, Washington insiders seem more concerned with winning arguments, and most of us are sick and tired of all the drama. When COVID-19 struck our shores, I was proud to be chairman of the National Governors Association. Congress played politics. We pulled together governors from all across the nation on the front lines together. Most Americans want the same thing. They want humble, tolerant, respectful, and effective leaders. We need Washington.
The vote tally for President Trump would seem to suggest otherwise. He did get more votes than any other sitting president, as he pointed out.
And to get its act together, regardless of whether Republican or Democrat, they want all this nonsense to stop, and they want us to just sit down and figure out a way to come up with bipartisan, common sense solutions to the serious problems that are out there. It's why, as you pointed out, I'm one of the most popular governors in America. Governor Larry Hogan, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I, for one, refuse to give in and accept that anger has taken the place of the common good. I refuse to give up and accept that the best days of the GOP and of America are a thing of the past. I come from the get to work and get things done school of politics, and I'll work with anyone who wants to do the people's business. I still believe that the party of Lincoln and Reagan is the last best hope for our nation, and I still believe that America remains the last best hope of man on earth. Thank you, God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
And he acts like Reagan was some great president, and that this all hasn't been a continuation of America rejecting an adult in Jimmy Carter who told them what they don't want to hear 40 fucking years ago. That we need to tighten our belt straps, so we need to reduce our dependence on foreign oil, that we need to diversify our energy, that we need to not spend so much with credit. That was Jimmy Carter's message. And the baby boomers said, no, we want to do cocaine and party and spend like drunken sailors. And they elected Reagan. That's the trajectory that Trump has continued. Reagan, the actor. Trump, the reality show host. That's where they've been headed the whole time. Common sense. Now, a report came out I found this incredibly interesting. I do like Teddy Roosevelt for a lot of reasons. That's a story for another time. So, the worst people imaginable are the ones dining out. Which makes total sense. You would think that during a pandemic that's wiping out thousands of Americans each day, people would treat others with compassion and do everything in their power to ensure the safety of not only themselves, but also their neighbors. Turns out that's total bullshit. A new study found that restaurant goers are fucking terrible. I don't know who wrote this. He was indeed a bully, but he's also I really enjoyed his stance on antitrust. He was a trust buster, and he was also a true conservative in that he wanted to conserve public lands. There are a lot of things, like every president I have disagreements with. FDR I have disagreements with. Whether they're Republican or Democrat, I can look at the good things that they did and have respect for it. And those are the two things that I really admire Teddy Roosevelt about. A new study found that restaurant goers are fucking terrible, and service industry workers, who even in non-pandemic times are paid well below the minimum wage, are now facing even more challenges as people continue to opt for maskless brunch outings and are being total dirtbags. A new report from One Fair Wage surveyed 1,675, that's a good sample, of food service workers between October 20th and November 10th from 5 states. The study found that not only are servers receiving piss-poor tips, they're also being harassed for enforcing social distancing and mask wearing. In some situations, food service workers endure masculine harassment. A disgusting new phenomenon in which restaurant goers request the server remove their mask to gauge how much they should be tipped. I hadn't even heard about that. That's insane. The study was titled, "Take Off Your Mask So I Know How Much to Tip You," found that more than 80% of food industry workers have seen a decline in tips. And 40% claim sexual harassment from customers has increased. Additionally, 60% of workers who rely on tips say they're hesitant when it comes to enforcing pandemic protocols, like asking customers to remain masked when moving throughout the restaurant or to maintain social distancing while dining, because they fear it could risk how much they are tipped or whether they'll be harassed as a result. The study also found that 44% of workers surveyed reported that at least one or more of their coworkers had contracted the virus, with 84% reporting being within 6 feet or of at least one person who is not wearing a mask during each shift. 33% claiming they're in dangerously close quarters with 30 or more maskless guests each shift. Which makes total sense. I'm a hardcore restaurant goer. Do you know who hasn't been to a restaurant since February? So I would assume that the people that are attending, are going to restaurants right now, are indeed the worst people in the world. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that adults who tested positive for the coronavirus were twice as likely to have dined at a restaurant. Insane. And we're putting these people in this position because the federal government isn't taking the lead in providing people with coronavirus aid. We're going to get to that here in just a second. Millions of Americans are heading into the holidays unemployed, with many over $5,000 behind on rent. The rent moratorium expires on December 31st. If you're $5,000 behind on rent, there's no way that you're going to be able to catch up by then. That's the reason why people are still hustling in restaurants. Economists warn many unemployed families won't be able to pay rent and utilities without more stimulus aid from Congress. Now, I saw reports this morning that the $1,200 checks are picking up steam. And it seems like Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, is on board. But still, Mitch McConnell is the one standing in the way. Nearly 12 million renters owe an average of $5,850 in back rent. That's a staggering number. We needed a moratorium on rent. We needed rent freezes. A moratorium on evictions don't help people pay the bills. So now, as I said, it seems that we are closer to a relief bill as of today. Congress finally agrees on a COVID-19 stimulus bill. It's not going to provide much of a stimulus. After months of partisan divide, it looks like both Republicans and Democrats are nearing a consensus on the next COVID-19 relief bill. The bill in question is price tagged at $908 billion. This is the Manchin-Romney bill, a fraction of the $3.4 trillion HEROES Act. The new bill introduced last week by a group of bipartisan lawmakers, will not include individual payments, but does include $300 a week in unemployment benefits. Now, I'm happy that it has unemployment benefits in there. But for people that are contractors, gig workers, freelancers, their unemployment expired months ago. So you would have to reapply through your state, and you're looking at 3, 4, 5 weeks before you would even receive the unemployment plus up. So well into January. Yeah, I've gone through drive-thru a few times. I have a really awesome barbecue place just down the hill from my apartment. I've been through there a few times. I've ordered, we have an Italian place down the road, and I've ordered from there. Got some sandwiches and stuff. They know me by name now. I cook a lot. I cook everything from scratch, so it's very, very rare that I go out to eat anyway, unless it's really good food. I don't go to fast food restaurants. So it has to be someplace that cooks better than I do for me to even consider going out to eat. Unfortunately, and this is like, please wear your fucking mask, because I haven't been to my favorite steakhouse in almost a year now. It's on the other side of town. I could DoorDash it, but by the time it got here, it would not be good. Because it's on the other side of town. It's going to take 40, 50 minutes to get to me. So it just really bums me out. I have not had my favorite bistro. Tip the whole staff $6. Good on them. It also includes $160 billion for state and local governments, a key item on the Democratic agenda, and a pause on some coronavirus-related lawsuits. There was a story that came out today about, it was like a 70-year-old guy that was working for Publix. His family is suing Publix. That's the kind of thing that Mitch McConnell is trying to block. An item from the GOP side, it says. And it includes more funding for healthcare, transit, small businesses, and schools. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who we played yesterday, called the $3.4 trillion HEROES Act a liberal wish list. You know, because getting payments into the hands of Americans to help them through this crisis is a liberal wish list. Media Winch, we got a story from over in your neck of the woods. I don't know what part of California this is from. Might not even be anywhere close to you guys. We've got a sheriff. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco.
Hello, I'm Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco.
I just said that, Chad. Let's see what this motherfucker has to say.
We have all recently learned of the new regional approach to combating COVID-19 and the pending closure and stay-at-home orders from our governor. We were also told...
Now remember, we did the story last night where the Yale researchers found what orders worked the best. Limiting gatherings to 10 people. Mask mandates. And stopping dining. That's downtown LA. Okay. Wow. In downtown LA.
There was a potential he would be withholding federal and state funding from counties who did not enforce the orders. Ironically, it wasn't that long ago our same governor loudly and publicly argued how wrong it was for the President of the United States to withhold federal funding from states not complying with federal laws. The dictatorial attitude toward California residents while dining in luxury, traveling,
wow,
keeping his business open, and sending his kids to in-person private schools is very telling about his attitude toward California residents, his feelings about the virus, and it is...
Now, we've talked about it many times. I'm tired of Democrats giving people like this asshole fodder for his argument. The optics aren't good from Governor Newsom. What was the name of the restaurant? French Laundry? That you went to dine in? He's talking about the sanctuary cities. That President Trump wanted to withhold federal funding from states that had sanctuary cities.
Is extremely hypocritical. These closures and stay-at-home orders are flat out ridiculous.
No, they're not. They're what saves lives.
Unbelievably faulty and are not representative of true numbers and are disastrous for Riverside County.
Well, once again, I'm conflicted. If we don't provide people with money, we do have to let them work and make a living. Now, one of the things I encourage people to do back at the start of the pandemic was to come up with like, hey, you're a bartender. Your bar is closed down. Do videos where you show people how to make drinks. Have a virtual tip jar like I do for videos. Get creative. Good evening, Dustin. By the way, yesterday I had you confused with someone else. I have another friend named Dustin. That's why when you told me how old you were, I'm like, man, you don't look that old. But thank you for joining us. Good evening. Let's get back to Sheriff Bianco here.
When the medical field is so split about this virus, it might be time to employ...
The medical field isn't split about the virus. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, Producer Dave. So much. I've been ranting quite a bit. Right now, we're listening to Riverside County Sheriff Bianco talk about Governor Newsom's orders.
A little common sense. Keeping money and support from our hospitals who are struggling with normal, seasonal increases in patients coupled with COVID-19 patients is irresponsible. It appears part of the new goal is to shift attention away from his and others' personal behavior with a do as I say, not as I do attitude by turning public opinion against California sheriffs. He is expecting us to arrest anyone violating these orders, cite them and take their money, close their businesses, make...
You guys love that shit! Sheriff's Department looks for any reason to harass people. What the fuck?
Them stay in their homes and take away their civil liberties, or he will punish all of us. I believe that all jobs are essential to someone.
Well, so there's that. All right, so the big story yesterday was the woman in Florida who was a whistleblower against the governor's office. The governor's office was wanting her...
Everyone wants on 5G America has been waiting for.
...to alter the coronavirus numbers in Florida. COVID is the #1 killer of cops this year. You are correct. Now, the woman who created the dashboard for Florida and was asked to lie by the governor, Governor Ron DeSantis, had her home raided yesterday. We have the video right here.
Come outside. Outside.
Who else is in the house, ma'am?
My 2 children and my husband.
Where's your husband at?
Calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, cops don't give a shit to go and raid a woman's home for political reasons with her children at home, but you won't enforce stay-at-home orders that saves people's lives? And you accuse Governor Newsom of being political?
the children down?
Call them all down.
He just pulled his gun. My 2 children, motherfucker pulls his gun out. Wow.
Come down the stairs, now!
Police! Come
Guns pulled on children.
Come down the stairs!
My children!
Hang on, let me clear behind
He just pointed a gun at my children!
Search warrant! Come outside. Outside.
Who else is in the house, ma'am?
My 2 children and my husband.
Now, the governor's office has denied that they had anything to do with this raid. However, an appointee of Ron DeSantis, who is a gigantic piece of shit, a DeSantis appointee quits over the raid on an ex-state worker's home. Based on what I have seen and read, I find these actions unconscionable. If they had a warrant, she had to open the door. Or they would have busted it the fuck down. A man appointed to a commission that recommends judicial appointments to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has resigned, citing the search warrant served on a former Department of Health employee who has criticized the state's COVID-19 data. Good on you, Ron Filipowski. Ron Filipowski, who announced his resignation from the 12th Circuit Judicial Nomination Commission on Twitter on Tuesday, saying a raid at the home of Rebecca Jones was unconscionable. Agents with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement served the search warrant on Monday, saying a computer at Jones's home was used to hack the Department of Health. Now, this is another aspect of the story. Apparently, there was a text sent out on the health services account. I don't remember exactly what the text says. It might be later in the... Doesn't look like it's on this story, but there was also something like 20 people from that department who resigned in protest, who had access. So it wasn't necessarily Miss Jones who sent out the text. Jones refused to let agents in for 20 minutes, the department said. So yeah, she did eventually open the door. When she did open the door, a camera set up inside Jones's home filmed the agents as they entered. She released the video on Twitter, though it shows only the first 31 seconds of the raid. Jones was fired in May. State records show she repeatedly violated department policy by speaking to the media without permission. Telling the truth to the media is what she was doing. She has questioned the state COVID-19 dashboard that she helped create and has since created her own. Filipowski, a Republican, has been a vocal opponent of President Donald Trump, who is a close DeSantis ally. I no longer wish to serve the current government of Florida in any capacity. The governor's office did not have a comment on the resignation. $1,700 people have access to the system, and they all share the same username and password. You are correct, Producer Dave. Having cameras set up in your house for robbers, unlawful warrants, a whole host of things. You are correct. They use the fact that an IP associated with her home or with her home was found to log into their system. We have whistleblower protections in theory, but as the Obama administration proved, they aren't very useful. Now, there's another story I want to touch on. Because I'm not done bitching about police tonight.
Well, the FBI's Civil Rights Division of the Department.
Didn't she at one point have access to that? She did indeed have access to that system. Do you have a pot full of pot as well? Media Winch showed me her pot full of pot earlier this week. Exactly, like hacking. Apparently she's got even more pot in the pot since she showed me. Yeah, having a password and accessing the twice as full. Having a password and accessing the data is considered hacking. Now, this is a story, I believe the incident happened on Friday, and it's really starting to gather steam now. Let's listen to the local, I believe this is the Columbus news station, Columbus, Ohio, is where, I think it happened outside of Columbus, Ohio.
Well, the FBI's Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice will review what happened during the shooting death of Casey Goodson. Now, he is the 23-year-old shot and killed by a Franklin County Sheriff's deputy last Friday.
Lacey Crisp explained.
Let's go ahead and get out of the way. He was not wanted for anything, was not a suspect in anything. Cop was looking for a different person. Ends up shooting this guy. He did have a gun on him. He had a license to conceal carry.
It's where the investigation goes from here.
There were a lot of questions about who will handle the investigation into Casey Goodson's death. We now know Columbus Police, along with the U.S. Attorney's Office, will investigate. The shooting happened last Friday afternoon on the north side of the city. 17-year veteran of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Jason Meade, who's permanently assigned to the U.S. Marshals Task Force, shot Casey.
That's right. He was not working in his capacity for the Sheriff's Office. He was working for the U.S. Marshals.
Casey Goodson. The U.S. Marshal says Meade shot after Goodson waved a gun at the deputy. Goodson's family disputes that. Initially, Columbus Police Department's critical incident response team.
Now, he was not wearing a body camera. So it's just his word. Oh, he waved a gun at me.
An outside agency took over the investigation. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther's office confirms yesterday the mayor asked Columbus Police Chief Thomas Quinlan to request the Bureau of Criminal Investigation to take over. A spokeswoman for the mayor said they wanted to be sure there was a thorough, complete, and transparent investigation. We're told BCI was requested but declined. Columbus police are continuing their investigation, but the FBI, the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, will review the facts and circumstances surrounding Goodson's death. Sheriff Dallas Baldwin says he supports the move to have the FBI review the case. He says they want a transparent and complete investigation.
Yesterday, the political powers that be decided that they didn't like the optics of it. That's what if you look at the semantics of the statement that they put out, when they're talking about, having maximum transparency and acceptance in the community, that's what they're saying. And they wanted us to take it over.
The Franklin County Coroner's Office tells me they completed Goodson's autopsy this morning. They expect to release some information tomorrow.
Now, that story didn't go into all the details. He was on his way back home from the dentist. He was in his grandmother's car. Apparently, his keys were in the door of his house. He was shot in the back 3 times. No body camera footage exists. I smell a rat. I do not believe. Nobody just waves a gun. First, now they did say the officer was undercover. He was in plain clothes. So it wasn't like he was just waving a gun at a cop. Maybe the dude was menacing and the guy flashed his gun at him. That's possible. But the whole thing just stinks. Anytime a cop shoots an innocent person, there needs to be charges brought against that cop. They can have their day in court. I firmly believe that. All right, so today is the 40th anniversary of another shooting. It's the shooting of John Lennon. So we actually have the news report, December 8th, 1980, right here. I'm conflicted about John Lennon. I'm hit or miss with the Beatles. I definitely prefer the later, more John Lennon drug-influenced Beatles to the early poppy Paul McCartney stuff. You are correct. That hearing was insane. That entire department, we have gone over it multiple times. That entire department is corrupt as fuck. Destroyed 750,000 records of their own sexual abuse. And that wasn't 750,000 cases of abuse of children, but 750,000 records of sexual abuse of children. One of the cops that participated in the raid had multiple sexual harassment complaints against him. They had locked up a guy and were badgering him to get him to admit to a crime he didn't commit. It was citizens in the city of Louisville that went out and found the video from one of the stores that exonerated the guy. The cops couldn't even be bothered to do their fucking jobs. Oh God, I had not seen that video. Please send that to me. I will take any opportunity to bitch about cops. But that's what we mean when we say defund the police. Stop arming them like they're in the military. Stop giving them these cushy protections that their union negotiates. Why are police unions the only unions in this country that are strong? Yeah, fuck the police. But all right, back to John Lennon. I'm conflicted about John Lennon. There's a lot of indications that he was a shitty person. He was most certainly a wife beater. It seems like he tried to become a better person later in his life, and I completely understand. When you're young and you're famous, let a lot of shit go to your head. And it seemed like he tried to atone for that. I'm a fan of his work. Definitely more of a fan of Lennon than I am of Paul McCartney. But hey, this is history. We've got the video here, so let's play it. Also, if you haven't seen, I do have my John Lennon shirt on. It's a little small on me. My War is Over shirt.
Former Beatle John Lennon is dead. He was shot a short time ago outside his Manhattan apartment building. He died at Roosevelt Hospital. Police have a suspect in custody.
Former Beatle John Lennon murdered in New York. Got out of the limousine, and they went inside the gate there, and then all of a sudden they heard 5-6 shots, and that was it.
4 cops pulled John Lennon out and put him into the back of a police car, and his mouth, he was bleeding from his mouth, and it was a terrible sight.
And during the day, this afternoon, before the rain began, a crowd of as many as 2,000 people came out here.
Police speculate that Chapman arrived in New York last week. He had begun to stalk Lennon from his room here at the West 63rd Street Y.
Yoko Ono released a statement tonight. She says that she told their 5-year-old son, Sean, what happened and took him to the spot where John lay.
Sean Lennon, fantastic musician. Check out The Ghost of Sabretooth Tiger. They are awesome. The Lennon Claypool, Delirium, who I was supposed to see this year. Fuck you, COVID. Also fantastic. That's Les Claypool from Primus and Sean Lennon.
After he was shot.
John Lennon's ashes will be buried tomorrow in a secret location. After his body was cremated yesterday in Hartsdale, the ashes were given to Yoko Ono.
Good evening. The vigil goes on at the Dakota Apartments, the place where John Lennon was killed and where his family still lives. Several people standing in the cold 5 days after John Lennon was murdered.
Some have come here from last night, others early this morning, and I must tell you that it's a strange feeling.
I didn't know that. Appearance at an Elton John concert. That's cool.
Good evening, everyone. 1 year ago, this very night, a tragic event that was felt around the world.
It was 1 year ago, almost to the hour, that a lone gunman waited for his hero outside the Dakota Apartments on Manhattan's West Side.
Now, I've never really delved into it about exactly why Chapman did what he did. I think most of my knowledge about it comes from Butters on South Park. Wanted to kill all the hippies. Awesome. Yeah, we're going to cover that tomorrow.
Matter of minutes, John Lennon was dead. His fans and friends held solemn vigils around the world then, as they're doing tonight, 1 year later. John Johnson is live at the Dakota, the scene of one such vigil.
John Johnson.
Roseanne,
what's up, John?
They are the young, they are the middle-aged. They're the people who didn't even know him, but who knew him well. The fans gathered here tonight who knew John Lennon through his music, through his songs, through his verses. They stand here tonight saying thank you, John, for a generation of song and lyrics.
I can't tell what they're singing. At first I thought it was Give Peace a Chance, but I don't think that's what it is.
Something inside me says I had to be here tonight, like the night it happened. I just had to be here.
Sgt. Pepper?
His lyrics, his philosophy, his attitude toward life, his little signposts that he left along the way. He was a leader in everything.
All day long, they have been coming to pay their respects to John Lennon. Some with flowers, others with candles, some with tears. Police kept the crowd that probably numbered about 250 across the street from the austere Dakota Apartments, where Lennon's widow, Yoko, and their 6-year-old son, Sean, still live. The vigil on West 72nd Street, just one of the outpourings of remembrances that occurred not only in the United States, but in Europe as well. Also here in town at a local radio station, a tribute to Lennon. 24 hours of Lennon music and interview.
This is 95.5 FM, WPLJ New York. I'm Pat St. John. This is John Lennon, recorded just a little more than a year ago.
I would have made an excellent 70s jock.
What else could we do is the way we feel about it, to play all John Lennon.
Well, I might not have the mustache for it, actually.
Today is the day we're going to have to get through, you know, just like we did last year. I mean, last year was certainly a lot tougher. After a year, you find it, I guess, a little bit easier to live with. I mean, you have to go on, and this year anniversary was obviously going to come around, and this is how we're dealing with it anyway.
It's hard to believe that a year has gone by already when John Lennon...
It's hard to believe 40 years have gone by, I guess.
Tonight, there's a little rose placed here by one of his fans, saying that, I guess, that they won't forget. And across the street, all the fans are saying, "We love you, John." But they're also saying something else. They're saying that we're opposed to violence, the senseless violence that has entrapped not only this city, but most of the world.
I think he was a very peaceful man, and he was really killed in a senseless and violent way. and it was a waste.
He did beat some women.
Sometimes we in the electronic media, in trying to capture the event or the moment, inadvertently trivialize the whole thing by saying too much. I won't. John Lennon will be missed by his fans. This is John Johnson, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, coming to you live from the John Lennon Vigil on West 72nd Street.
So yeah, 40 years ago today. But I don't want to leave you on a sour note. I do have a video. I'm not going to be able to actually play the audio of it because it's a copyright song. We played, hold on, you pause. We played a drummer last night, and he wasn't very good. We're going to play a drummer tonight, and she is excellent. And she is playing Toxicity by System of a Down. She's definitely better than Ringo, that's for sure. But hey, Ringo wasn't even the best drummer in the Beatles. So this is a girl playing Toxicity and tearing it up. Dude, go check out the video because she fucking nails it. But look at that face. How cute is that? Oh, I love the tongue. Metal as fuck. Look at her. She's having so much fun. I highly recommend going and checking this out. Nandy Bushell, Nandy Bushell, something like that. I'm sure if you Google little girl plays Toxicity, it'll come up. Because she fucking nails it. Absolutely on point. So on that note, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol.